fire ceremony that you saw in the middle, there's two different fires you saw. One was the fire in the fire pit, and then the other was the fire that we were offering. The fire in the fire pit is what we call a yajna ceremony, which is one of the most common rituals in Indian tradition. You'll see it at marriages. You'll see it at openings of new homes or businesses. You'll see it at so many different celebrations. And the meaning behind it is purification. If I want to sterilize a needle, what's the fastest way to do that? Right? You light a match, you stick the needle in the match for 30 seconds and boom, sterile. So fire purifies. When we perform the fire ceremony, it's not the type of purification like a needle. It's not about matter. As Puja Swamiji was talking about, we're spirit. So it's not, oh God, purify my arms and my legs. It's a prayer to the divine purifier. So it's not that we're worshiping this actual fire. The fire is a symbol of the divine, who actually is the one who makes us pure on the inside. And we're pure on the inside because we are part of the divine. If the divine is pure and perfect and whole and complete, and we are made out of that same divine, then we are also pure and perfect and whole and complete. So that's who we are on the inside. So it's not, oh God, make me something I'm not. But rather, it's remove that which I have put on top of this wholeness and purity and completeness and perfection that is keeping me from realizing my own purity and divinity and perfection. And those are things like our anger and our ego and our expectations and our frustrations and our desires and our jealousies and our challenges and all of these things that keep us stuck in that which isn't really the true self. And so when we perform the ceremony, we're offering all of that into the fire, praying that all of that should be burned so that we can go back to living in the purity of the self. So that's ultimately what the meaning of it is. There's a lot of other pieces to it. Just one other piece I'll share with you is that fire always goes upward. You can dig your fire pit as far deep into the earth as you want. Dig it 100 feet in the ground, 200 feet in the ground. But the flames of that fire will always go up. Even on a windy day, they may be blown around like this, but ultimately they're moving up. And the reason for that is that the source of fire is the sun. And so what it said is that fire is always trying to return to its source. The source of water is the earth, the ocean. So water always comes down. We can call it gravity, we can use all sorts of names that we want, but that's just describing something that already exists. It's not that gravity makes it fall, it's that gravity is the name for the fact that it falls. Why is it? Because this is its source. And so what that reminds us of is our source is God. Any name, any religion, it doesn't matter, however you worship, but that's our source. As Puja Swamiji says, we've been not only created by the divine, but created out of the divine. So it's not that he's like, or she or it is like a potter making, cups and mugs and pots and all sorts of things, and we're just the art pieces. But we've actually been created out of that same divinity. So our source is the divine. And when we watch those flames rise and rise and rise and rise, it reminds us, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to stay stuck so low. I'm not supposed to stay stuck so much in my own problems and challenges and complaints and desires and frustrations and all of that, I'm supposed to rise higher and higher, because my source is the infinite. And so when we watch the flames, it reminds us also to return to our source. And then the other fire that you saw that we offer is called Arti. And Puja Swamiji always calls it our Thanksgiving ritual. Or he says it's our happy hour. And it's the time of day where we give thanks. It's a ceremony of light. God gives us light all day long. The light of blessings, the light of grace, the light of life. And in this ceremony, we offer back this little light as just a symbol of our thanks and a symbol of our love and a symbol of our devotion. We suffer due to our own ignorance. Well, there's two reasons. Both of them stem from ignorance, but I'll touch on both of them. One of the most principal theories of the Indian spiritual tradition is it doesn't have a concept of sin the way that we think about sin in the Jewish or the Christian traditions. That which happens to us happens because of what we've created. Doesn't mean it's good, doesn't mean it's bad, doesn't mean it's reward, doesn't mean it's punishment. It's not a sense of you've done something good so God is rewarding you. You've done something bad so God will punish you. It's a sense of if I plant an apple seed, I will get an apple tree. If I plant a peach seed, I will get a peach tree. I will be eating peaches. So we suffer for two reasons. The first reason we suffer is because we've planted seeds of suffering. If I'm allergic to peaches, and every time I eat peaches I break out in hives, and I keep planting peach seeds, and all I have to eat are peaches, I'm going to suffer from hives for my whole life. And I can say, God has cursed me, my stars are in the wrong place, whatever I want to say. But the real reason is I keep planting peach seeds. So what we do, and again, it's important to say though, that doesn't mean peaches are bad. It doesn't mean I've been punished. It doesn't mean God is sitting up there saying, you bad person for planting peach seeds, I'm going to give you hives. There is no sense of good or bad or punishment or reward. It's just, it's nature. It's the science of the universe. What you plant, that's what you're going to get back. If a seed tries to sprout in winter, it's going to die. It's going to come up against the frost on the ground. It's hard and cold and snowy, and it's going to die. It doesn't matter how good the seed is. It doesn't matter how many people are praying over it. It doesn't matter how much wonderful potential it has. The science and the nature of life is such that what we plant, how we plant it, is what we get back. So that's one reason we suffer, is we've planted seeds of suffering. But another reason that we suffer is purely in our own mind. The hives that I have are actual physical. You can look at them and you can say, yes, yes, you have hives. You can give me an allergy test, it's going to come off the charts. Yes, yes, this person is having an allergic reaction. But then there's a type of suffering in which I don't look like I'm suffering. Give me every test you want, no signs of suffering. People could look at me, they would have no idea I'm suffering. Nothing medically wrong with me. I look fine. But I've created suffering in my own mind. So everything around me is perfect, but I'm miserable. And that is this ignorance. It's the ignorance of what we're here for, why we're here, what we're supposed to do here, what we're supposed to accomplish, what the point of life is. It's an ignorance that says, I've created a concept of what I think based on the TV commercials I've seen, the magazines I've read, the movies I've watched, what my parents said, what my culture said, what my 5th grade teacher said, of how my life should be. And any deviation from it must be wrong. And so of course we suffer. Because you can't possibly, first of all, you've got TV commercials and movies and culture and parents all saying different things anyway. So even if we had a magic wand, we couldn't possibly do all of it. One says, stay at home, raise your children, the family is the most important. The other says, if you're not a CEO by the time you're 25, your life is a failure. The other says, spend more time meditating, doing yoga, get to know the self. The other says, you've been put here to achieve. We can't possibly listen to all the voices. But we've created a sense in our mind of how things should be. Even if it's scientifically impossible that they can be like that. And because they're not like that, we suffer. And also, our own perception changes every day. So what I want from one day to another day changes. So I spend all this time and energy creating what I think I want today, so that my suffering ends. And then tomorrow I wake up and actually I realize it was something different altogether I wanted. And so I have a new type of suffering. And so the end to that suffering is when they talk about the light of awareness and the light of wisdom and the light of discrimination. It says, wait, stop. What am I here for? What's the point of life? What am I really supposed to be doing? And we shut out all of those other crazy voices. And we get that light inside. And that's how that suffering ends. And the way the first suffering ends is we start very clearly, if I'm suffering from hives, we keep looking at it and we say, well, God, every time I eat peaches I get hives, maybe there's a connection. Maybe if I don't want to have hives tomorrow, I should plant something other than peaches today. And so we plant something else, which bears something else. And by eating that, suddenly our hives have disappeared. And so we take responsibility for where we are in our lives. Rather than blaming destiny or blaming God or blaming the stars or blaming our parents or our siblings, we take responsibility for what we've planted and what that's given us, which enables us then to decide what to plant today for tomorrow. I want to clarify for just a moment. When he says a new spirituality, it's not that we are recreating spirit or redeveloping spirit. Spirit, and therefore spirituality, is infinite, it's timeless, it's always been there, it always will be there. It's what connects us all, it's what flows through all of us, it's unchanging. It's what connects us to the universe, it's the nature of the universe, the nature of divinity. It's, if I say to you, what's infinity minus 10? Infinity. What's infinity divided by 2? Infinity, right? So, when you take anything out of that infinite, let's say we have the infinite, and now we divide it by 7 billion, or even more because it's not just humans, it's everything, right? So what's infinity divided by 7 billion? Infinity. Infinity divided by 10 billion? Infinity. So, no matter how many times we divide it, no matter how many different manifestations or embodiments or reflections of that divinity we have, when he says a new spirituality, what he means is a new way of speaking about spirituality, practicing spirituality, thinking about spirituality. It used to be enough for spirituality to mean I sit down, either in nature or typically in the dark. I close my eyes. I connect to that spirit. I feel one with that spirit. I feel peace inside. I go out. I don't harm others. That's how most people for most of history used to define spirituality. When he says a new spirituality, what it means is that's no longer enough. Nothing wrong with it. We all still practice meditation. He reminds everybody every day, do your meditation. But that's only a piece of our day. The eyes closed in the dark or in nature meditation. The rest of the day is meditation with eyes open in action. And the reason for that is when you connect with spirit, and with all of those other 7 billion or 10 billion or 20 billion reflections and manifestations of the spirit, what you realize is there is suffering. And even though that suffering may be because they've planted peach seeds and so now they have hives, it's not enough for us to sit back and to say, boy, I hope soon they realize that. Our job is to go out there and to help and to serve and to work. And if peach seeds are bringing hives and suffering to all of our brothers and sisters, to help them learn to plant apple seeds instead. To help them learn what to put on the hives to make it stop burning and itching until they're able to benefit from the new plantation. And so when you talk about spirituality, what Pujya Swamiji emphasizes so much is it's not just for ourselves. It's not about my peace, my bliss, my equanimity, my enlightenment. It's about what I, as a tool, as a vessel, can bring to the world. And so that's the new vision and implementation of spirituality. Is how can we serve as vessels of the spirit rather than just as containers of the spirit. It used to be sort of a container metaphor. Now it's shifting to more of a vessel, a channel metaphor, to serve that, to serve others.